Good evening and welcome to Startup Talk from Indian River State College with the one and only Mr. Tom Kindred.
Thank you, Greg, and good evening, and welcome to another segment and installment of Startup Talk, the show designed to assist and help Treasure and Research Coast residents who want to start, grow, or accelerate their business. And what a great place it is to own and operate a business along the beautiful Treasure and Research Coast. We will spend time during our hour together tonight to highlight and create awareness regarding the very powerful and robust business assistance and support programs which exist right here in our community at our very own Indian River State College. I am indeed Tom Kindred, and I have the privilege to serve the business community as the director of the Dan K. Richardson Entrepreneurship Development Institute. Our show this evening is powered by the Small Business Development Center at Indian River State College and our friends at Express Printing of Port St. Lucie.
Express Printing in the Christ Plaza. Brand new. Easy entrance, easy exit.
Yes.
And it's right there south of the boulevard, right across from Walmart in Port St. Lucie.
Exactly. I know where the Christ Plaza is. Christ Plaza's been there a long time.
Yes, it has. And this is, they got a really nice US 1 front. It's great. It is really wonderful. Yep.
So, Greg, everything all right in your world this evening?
Sure is. We survived the wonderful event at Sunrise Theater last night, and that was great event put on by the Treasure Coast Sports Commission, honoring the area athletes of all sports. Just the entire Treasure Coast region? Oh, yeah.
So it had Martin County athletes and Indian River County athletes?
And Indian River swept the best of.
Did they really?
Yeah, both male and female athlete. The male athlete was a dual sport guy from Sebastian, and the female was dual sport from Vero Beach High School.
Wow.
But what was very interesting was, of the kids that were finalists, your representatives, which I had not seen in the past, Morningside Academy, Pine School.
Wow.
I mean, all of a sudden, and of course, obviously John Carroll, but, it was interesting to see. It was great. It was just a lot of fun. Place was packed, and Jason Taylor was riveting.
Oh, that's right.
There's no other way to describe his speech to those kids. And, we heard a lot of murmuring going on when he was talking about what sports meant to him. Right. And he said there would be two places where he would be if he had not done sports. One would be in jail. The other would be in a grave. And you could just hear the audience. I mean, it is
sure.
Oh yeah,
that's pretty powerful talk.
Well, and it was really funny because I heard one of the parents walk out and say, "Wow, he was a little too blunt." No, he wasn't. John Messina, the athletic director at Centennial, was right next to me. He said, "No, he wasn't. You don't know these kids today."
And again, we talk. It's interesting that you bring that point up too, because one of my favorite concepts in business, and one of my favorite parts of Jack Welch's book. Is the concept of candor.
Yeah.
In business you can't afford to tell stories. I mean, you've got to be candid.
And you cannot candy coat things with these kids. Not today.
Right.
And so I was just hoping that Scott Kimmelman was floating around there when all of a sudden you see the volleyball stars and then you see the swimming stars coming out. Yeah, it was really, really wonderful to see. It was great.
Well, that is great. And you say it was packed. The Sunrise Theater was packed up. And
nice. And these kids dressed to the nines. It was
Is this the first year they've done this?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Actually, they didn't even start planning it till the beginning of April. It was amazing. A combination of TC Palm and the Treasure Sports Commission. And let me tell you, this is going to begin a tradition.
Well, good.
Yeah. Very cool.
Okay. Well, listen, I tell you, I am so excited about our guest tonight. I've been trying to get this individual on the show.
For a year and a half.
That's right. I have been since we started. Since episode 1, I've been trying to get Mr. Shultise on this show. But as everyone knows and that listens in on Thursday evenings and on Mondays down on STU. Our show's dedicated to entrepreneurship and small business, and it's just, I just think it is so important, and I talk about this all the time. It's just so important that our business community knows what's available in resources. So that's the purpose of our show, but to get the word out on all these resources. But when we think of entrepreneurship, obviously, it's just natural for us to think about technology fields, iPhones, apps, computer science, medical breakthroughs. And, we've talked about that before, but, I spent the majority of my career in business was spent in the tractor business. And our tractor company, equipment company, supported the agricultural community. So, people don't automatically, when you think about entrepreneurship and innovation, you don't immediately think about agriculture. And it's not the first thing that comes to your mind. And we had Ed Skavarch, as you may remember, a couple of weeks ago. We had
yes,
Ed on.
sir.
We talked about what the what was going on out at the ag area with the county and his new position. But again, ag is such a extremely important industry to our area, and it is an industry that is innovative, and folks don't think about it, and it is an industry that needs to be innovated. Our local marketplace and within our local marketplace and helping to create that entrepreneurial mindset within what is an important industry, and that is the ag industry. So tonight, I have finally secured Mr. Spike Shultise from the SBDC at IRSC. And Mr. Shultise recently published an article in the Progress and Innovation magazine. The article was entitled, "Innovation is an Important Requirement for Both Agricultural and Business Organizations." So I wanted Mr. Shultise to come on the show tonight and talk about his article, talk about innovations in agriculture, talk about the agricultural industry and why it is so important to our marketplace. So I want to welcome tonight to the show Spike Shultise. Spike, welcome to the show.
Good evening. It's good to be here, and good to join you folks.
So first, let me just spend just a couple of minutes doing what I normally do. Let's cover a couple of upcoming courses, and then we'll continue our conversation with Spike. But a couple of upcoming courses. We're at the end of May, so we've kind of wrapped up May. Got a full list of courses coming our way, business training courses. Had a great meeting yesterday. Jack Hopkins and I, Jack from the SBDC at IRSC, Jack and I had a great meeting with SCORE, and we talked about the new year, the upcoming year of training courses. So between SCORE and our SBDC office, we're going to try to, again, continue to offer a very robust list of courses each year, and SCORE's where we partner with them to teach the courses. So it's a great partnership, and again, looking forward to another very big year with SCORE.
And I was very pleased to see SCORE right behind your IRSC booth at the Treasure Coast Business Summit. SCORE had their own booth there, and it was manned, and they were busy.
Yeah,
they were talking to a lot of folks.
Yeah, they really were. And we again had a great conversation with them. Had a meeting yesterday with SCORE again to kind of just review where we've been and where we're headed with our partnership with SCORE. And I gave a presentation the other evening to the City Commission down at the City of Stuart. Spoke before their city commission, and one of the stats that I presented to the city of Stuart was we did 111 business training courses in Martin County last year through our partnership with SCORE and SBA.
Wow,
111 courses.
Wow, that's great.
It is. It's a great offering. So real quickly, one of the most important courses, and we talked yesterday to SCORE. They have about 5 core courses that they offer, and one of those is how to start a small business. So if you've been considering starting your own small business but unsure of where to begin, this is the workshop for you. You'll be provided with information about startup fundamentals, marketing, and business planning, financing, licenses, employee issues, business structure, taxation, and regulations. Once you've successfully completed this session, you'll be better able to decide if your business idea is worth pursuing, or maybe you'll say, no way, I don't want to start a business. It may be a scary course, but anyway, it's a great course to take if you're thinking about starting a business. And that one is going to be on June the 1st at the Lakewood Park Branch Library here in Fort Pierce. That's June the 1st, 5 to 7:30 p.m. There'll be another round of how to start a business down at the Moorgate Library, again in Stuart, Florida. That's on June the 8th from 5 to 7:30. Again, great core class, core course offered by SCORE and SBDC. And then the other one that's coming up pretty quickly is marketing your business. If you're currently running your business, but you believe you're the best kept secret in town, or you're just not getting the amount of business you think you should, this is the course for you, marketing your business. That'll take place at the Lakewood Park Branch Library on June the 8th from 5 to 7 p.m. So again, those are upcoming courses. The most important details to remember regarding these training sessions is that all of these business training courses that are brought to you by SBDC and SCORE and the SBA, most of those courses are provided free. There is no charge to attend these events, nor is there ever any cost to engage the SBDC and one of their consultants. And Spike will talk a little bit about that with us here in a minute. And I tell folks all the time, back when I was in business, if I had taken the opportunity to become engaged in and participate in these business resources and assistance programs, I am confident I could have been a better manager, owner, and operator. Indian River State College and its president, Dr. Massey, and the Board of Trustees have done an incredible job of building a very powerful one-stop shop for business and assistance through what we call the Dan K. Richardson Entrepreneurship Development Institute, which is made up of the SBDC Small Business Development Center, the Business Incubation Program, and the Corporate and Community Training Institute. You can always get more information on these courses and others and all that's being offered at the IRSC Biz, that's IRSCBIZ.com, and check out the events calendar. I promise you will be impressed. And as always, just a big thank you to the SBDC and their consultants for the work they perform in assisting and supporting our region's business community.
And by the way, I got a autographed copy of Miss Computer Coding 2015.
That's an actual calendar, Greg? Miss Computer Coding? What was that? People
our
with
IRSC young lady.
Leanna Haig.
She has done so. The computer coder.
Oh, Dairy.
Yeah,
Dairy.
Yeah,
Dairy Bonner.
Dairy
Medical
Bonner.
coding.
Yep,
Medical coding.
You got it. And let me tell you, a great article on her. In a medical magazine.
I know. I saw that at the summit.
Yeah.
That's right. Last week was the summit. We were together, Greg, at the summit. That's right.
It seems like 2000. But anyway, yeah.
Or 2 hours ago. Yeah, it's one of the two.
But anyway, it's the success stories that have come out of just the people that have been on the show have been really amazing. Yeah. This has been an incredible year.
I know.
It really has.
It has been. And just wait, Greg, in a couple of weeks we've got some people coming on from a major manufacturing operation in Martin County. We're going to talk about a great program that's coming up, advanced manufacturing training. I'm telling you, just stay tuned because that's going to be a great show that night.
Was this the company you were talking about the other day?
This is the company, Paradigm Precision.
Cool.
Is going to be on the show talking about their company, what they're doing, and they're in a partnership with Indian River State College to provide some advanced manufacturing training. So we're going to be a great show to talk about that. And what an offering for some folks coming up in July and August for these advanced manufacturing training courses. But we'll talk about that in a coming show. So without further ado, I want to re-welcome Mr. Shultise. We refer to Mr. Shultise as Spike in the SBDC, so I want to re-welcome Spike to the show. Welcome again.
Well, it's good to be here, and I hope we can have some fun on the show this afternoon.
Listen, it's always fun. It's always fun. I tend to be a little serious, Spike, though, but Greg keeps us light.
Oh, we'll loosen it up.
Yeah. Now, Spike's a serious business person, so wait till I read his credentials here. This is not.
This is scary.
Don't get worried here. Spike is a certified consultant with the SBDC at IRSC. He's been with the SBDC at IRSC since 2011. Spike has, although he has a very young appearance, but Spike does have many, many, many years of corporate experience. Most of those years spent in the communications area, about 40 years of corporate experience. He holds his undergrad degree in economics and sociology from Princeton University. He also,
I've heard of that school.
You heard of Princeton?
Yeah.
And then he also holds an MBA from the Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania. That's right. I'm telling you, this is serious business tonight. Everybody,
two heavyweight degrees.
Stop your cars, pull off the side of the road. Don't try to drive while we're having this conversation. This is getting serious. Spike serves the SBDC as a growth acceleration specialist, and we'll talk about that. Spike is also very well versed and is certified as a profit mastery facilitator, which we've talked about multiple times on this show, and I cannot say enough about profit mastery as a tool for local business. So with that is Spike's background, and I'm going to turn the mic over to Spike for just a minute. Spike, give us just a little bit of that. I've gone over the history and your credentials, but talk a little bit about your work history experience. Give us kind of that historic look at where you've been and what you've done.
Where I've been and coming from. As a undergraduate, I started out with IBM in the junior summer training program as an undergraduate, and then continued working with them while I was going through graduate school, and worked initially with IBM and other folks in the computer industry.
You started at IBM.
Yes.
Oh, man.
In mid-'84 or so.
Sure.
Ended up moving out to the West Coast, and was fortunate enough to be able to join Pacific Tel as we announced cellular communications in California for the mobile communications. We did that in early 1980s.
So were you in San Francisco then?
Los Angeles.
In L.A., okay.
So
you were there the same time we were then,
southern portion of the state, down in Orange County, actually.
Oh, well, that's a different part of the world. Yeah, wow.
So with that, the communications activity got me interested in the telecom sector, and then ended up in the early 90s, shifted and started to do consulting in the telecom sector with basically venture capital and startups, and did that through the mid 90s, early 2000. We moved to Florida, be closer to family and grandkids, and spent some time teaching out at FAU, and did a couple courses with the folks at Nova, and through that activity met the folks at Indian River and SBDC. Joined SBDC around 2008, and been doing consulting in what we call the Growth Acceleration Program to help folks out there.
Nice.
So that's sort of
that is so cool.
Quick chronology.
Boy, I mean, just think about that, Tom. He hit the cell industry just as it was in its infancy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, when we joined Pactel, there were only 84 of us were in the West Coast operation. That was it. So it was fun.
Yeah.
It was.
Wow, that's amazing.
So anyway, we've enjoyed the time with SBDC since then, and helping folks hopefully bend the curve and grow their business.
I like that, bend the curve. So talk just a little bit about, we've had so many, everybody has been on the show that's with the SBDC, and I asked them all the same question, but I'll ask it of you. Talk a little bit about the SBDC at IRSC. I mean, give us your take on the SBDC. How does it engage? How does it help the business community?
SBDC is, everybody gets confused by the acronym SBDC. What's it mean? Right. It stands for the Small Business Development Center. And our goal at the SBDC is to help the small businesses, quote, grow. We look to get engaged with the companies beyond when they've been fighting the battle for survival.
Right. To
say, okay, I've gone through that. I've done my startup. Now what can I do to make something out of this? And the SBDC efforts with the growth program have been focused on helping folks that I just mentioned bend the curve.
Right.
Many businesses start, they get survival, and they get up, they get to the $10,000 a month or whatever the number would be, and it stays flat. And they struggle along, and they spend all of their time working for the business and never spend any time working to make the business grow. We try to help them leverage that and turn that curve up and put some energy into the growth curve. So,
Spike, and it is interesting too, because you really do offer that's a little different perspective than some give us. I mean, you can obviously tell that you really are focused on helping folks actually grow. It's your strengths are with businesses who have, like you said, really been through the startup curve. They're now looking, how do I do better? How do I grow? How do I build some wealth in the business? How do I,
You have to look to see where their goals are, what they want to do for their business. Absolutely nothing wrong to say, I want to build a business that produces a comfortable income for me and my wife and my family. To have a lifestyle business like that, that's perfectly fine. Other people will say, I want to really make something out of this, and that's a different goal. And you have different strategies to get to that point.
Right.
And what the people have to do is sort of figure out, first of all, what are my goals? What do I want to do with this?
Right.
And then if I want to grow it, most people will come to us and say, show me the money. Where do I find financing? And what we want to do is we want to make sure that we can be banker ready when they go. Most people, when they really look for money, haven't really learned to dance, and they're not ready to, what I would say,
buy
a prom. You're not ready to buy a prom dress if you can't learn, if you don't know how to dance. So
I love it.
Yeah.
That's great.
So, all right.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
In many cases, we're teaching people how to dance, and so that they can bend the curve and generate the growth that makes the investor or the banker comfortable with investing in them as a business proposition.
Now, many of the SBDC consultants are specialists. We've got Emily McHugh, who works in the international trade, writes the export marketing plans. We got Scotty Wilson, helps with government procurement. We got Dick Kantner on the business continuity. You are what we call a growth acceleration specialist. Just talk a minute about growth acceleration.
All right. The growth acceleration will look at basically two fundamental areas. One, where is the business right now? Is it profitable, and is its foundation for planning properly put together so that I can have profitable growth? My growth, we need to be, with one mantra, impatient for profits and patient for growth. If I'm impatient for profits, I'm going to be profitable. I'm going to be generating cash with each and every transaction. And if I'm doing that, I can survive the challenge for growth. And I can be patient for growth to come.
Right.
So
I
think
that.
that's another mantra to do. Mm-hmm. Now, within the SBDC growth area, what we want to do is come in and focus on, how do I grow the business? Where am I going to grow the business? And what do I have to do that? And in which order do I put growth or sales or marketing or financing? And the two go through it. But it's in that area that we would focus within the growth area.
Okay. And talk just another minute about Profit Mastery. Talk about that tool. What a very powerful tool for our local business community to have access to.
Profit Mastery is a nationally licensed program that the SBDC nationally has developed a relationship with the Profit Mastery group who are based in Seattle, Washington. And they put together a very effective program that we then conduct here in the Treasure Coast area as an SBDC activity. Right. And what the Profit Mastery program does, it really gets inside what the linkages are between the P&L, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement. And it lets us get a better understanding as a business for how do those relate and how can I use those to guide and manage my profitability. And then how can I take that information and use it to plan my growth? Most people don't, and and the way we do Profit Mastery, we present it as a 24-hour, 30-hour program that is defined and targeted at the C-level executive, either the CEO, the CFO, or the CMO, or the Chief Operating Officer. All right. We want to bring all those folks together as a team and show them how they can profitably plan the growth of their company.
And back to your statement just a minute earlier about working in the business and working on the business. Profit Mastery is really an example of where that C-level manager is really going to stop and take some time to work
in the business.
In the business.
Yeah, one of the first things we do in the Profit Mastery is say, let's really understand what it is that we're doing, what the profit contribution is for each product, and how that impacts our operation, and where the pain points are. If we're not making money, or if we're not having cash at the end of the month, we need to understand where those pain points are.
All right.
So.
All right, great conversation. I'm going to take just a quick break, and we're going to get right back with Mr. Shultise and talk a little bit about the agricultural industry and innovations that are happening in that area. So stay tuned. This is Startup Talk.
I'm still trying to Google cash flow. Huh?
Yeah, that's right, Greg. Cash flow.
Not sure about that one yet. You're listening to Startup Talk. Express Printing in Port St. Lucie is proud to present Startup Talk from Indian River State College. You see Express Printing in its new US 1 location in the Chris Plaza, just south of the boulevard across from Walmart, is the one-stop shop for entrepreneurs throughout the Treasure Coast. Whether you're starting a business or building one, Express Printing can offer insight on how to separate you from your competition. Let Express Printing help you rebrand your business as well. The backbone of America is its entrepreneurial spirit, shared by Express Printing and Indian River State College. Express Printing in a newer and larger facility to assist entrepreneurs. Express Printing, 878-7975. That's 878-7975. Express Printing. Look for the red sign that says, "We come to you."
This is Startup Talk from Indian River State College's Dan K. Richardson Entrepreneurship Development Institute. I am Tom Kindred, and great honor tonight to have with us a standout Small Business Development Center consultant, Mr. Spike Shultise. Now, Spike, we've been talking about some of the things, your history, your experience. We've been talking about some of the things you work with in the SBDC program, but you recently published an article for the Progress and Innovation magazine entitled "Innovation is an Important Requirement for Both Agricultural and Business Organizations." Now, I realize you can't talk about specific clients because of confidentiality rules at SBDC, but talk in general about your work within the agricultural community. You've really kind of taken this on as a project and as a focus group.
Yeah, and I guess, first of all, as a perspective from the article with innovation, every company looks at innovation as a hallowed goal, but very few people are really successful at it. And if you look at every company, every product, every market segment, sooner or later that product will be attacked by competition, technology will obsolete it, or a competitor is going to come up with a better mousetrap.
Right.
So every company has to be looking at how does it re-energize itself, reinvent itself, and through that, they need to have it's absolutely mandatory that they they innovate on a continuing basis.
Right.
So that regardless of the business sector,
right,
every business needs to be thinking on an innovative basis. A number of years ago, I went out and visited with Dr. Calvin Arnold, who was then the director of the Ag Research Station here at Fort Pierce. And I mentioned to Dr. Arnold, here at SBDC, our charter is to support and grow the businesses in the market. And most times people forget that agriculture is big business. In the Treasure Coast market, we have in the state of Florida, we have 45,000, 50,000 enterprises that are agricultural enterprises. In the Treasure Coast 4-county area, the revenue from the agricultural sector is in excess of $600 million a year.
Whoa, back up. What?
$600 million a year is the business income attributed to agriculture or produced by agriculture in just the 4-county area.
That's an amazing number.
Those figures are a couple years old from the Florida Department of Agriculture and Research. It's probably more now, but agriculture is big business. And so the agricultural sector has just as large a need for innovation as any other business. And the article we published just recently in Progress Innovation wanted to just bring some light to that. So.
And you're so right too, and that's what I said earlier is that folks really don't, understand when we think about the innovation and technology. Agriculture is not the first thing that comes to mind. But having said that, it doesn't take one. You don't have to be an expert, and it certainly doesn't take one long if you just drive around our community. You can see that, that things did change in agriculture.
Sure.
I mean, it's not the same. When I have the privilege of having grown up here. So obviously citrus was our primary crop for many, many years, and lots of folks employed in that, lots of support businesses. I happen to own and operate one of those businesses that supported citrus. And obviously it's a changed landscape out there. So give us just an overview of that changing marketplace in regards to agriculture. I mean, what are some of the things that have really changed in our area regarding that space?
Well, you mentioned citrus. I mean, everybody that's involved with citrus is painfully aware of the seriousness of the threat from HLB and the citrus greening. And that has demanded new approaches. And if you look at the innovation area, number one, looking for a serious solution to the HLB virus and the bacteria. The new experimental license, the approval for the experimental drugs with the bacteria antimicrobials through that's now underway, that just recently started through the emergency declaration from the state of Florida to get use of the new bacterial sites, gives the citrus industry a hope that there may be some relief. What the folks in the industry have been doing as well has been looking for alternative crops. If I can't grow citrus, what else can I grow as a new product? And to look at that from standpoint, as well as to reassessing what my processes are that I'm doing to treat the virus. They're looking for innovative ways to reset the architecture inside the groves. When do I reset the trees, or do I push and burn and take out an entire grove? And if I do the entire grove, do I replant it? So there's a whole bevy of truly innovative activity going on in the citrus sector.
Right.
And that's, of course, we had Mr. Minton in here talking about what this whole industry could look like 20 years from now, too.
Yeah.
And it's far different from now.
Great insight from Michael, too. But, one of my favorite parts of your article, Spike, was you make a statement in the article, and it goes like this. Less frequently, the managers of the agricultural sectors recognize the importance of innovation and technology management in their organizations and their farming and ranching operations. And I think, you're so right. I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. We kind of think of agriculture as old school, still, planting, running the tractor, harvesting. But the reality is that agricultural, like any other industry, needs to be innovative. And you've talked about some of the innovations in the citrus area, but in general, talk about some of those innovations that you see as a whole in agriculture.
Well, if you look at it on a sector by sector, we've talked about the citrus, all right? The folks in the cattle and the hog sectors have also been looking at and working on the ability to grow product naturally. We don't need to send all of our product, our calves, from Florida up to the Midwest to have them fattened. People are looking and working on, keeping the calves and the heifers here in Florida, growing them out to harvestable sage.
Now, there is a move on in the state of Florida to have that born here, died here type process in the cattle industry?
The state, we have a major initiative at the state, which you'll see as you walk through the markets in terms of fresh from Florida.
Oh, yeah. You bet. You bet. Yeah.
And that's another area that within the citrus and as well as within the vegetable, as well as the citrus or the fruit industry, Fresh from Florida is focusing on fresh vegetable product being grown and sold local. And the buy local market is an interesting market change in the last couple of years. You're seeing more and more material that's being produced locally and grown locally and sold in local markets. Direct from the farmer to the local outlet, from the farmer to.
Well, you've got a whole series of now restaurants. Chipotle, I guess, kind of started that trend where they had some locally sourced, produce. But we've got is the name of the restaurant called The District? Isn't that what it's called, The District? And it's farm to table type concept, right?
Yeah. Well, and just look at all of the farmers markets that we have.
That's right.
Now, if you
absolutely.
Look, the ones in Martin County and St. Lucie County, they're almost year-round now. Remember when they used to shut down?
Right.
Well, hardly now, and Vero Beach has got one. So does Okeechobee. So,
Yeah, you're so right, Greg. Yeah. The success of that downtown farmers market in Fort Pierce,
and the buy local area is there. At SBDC, we've had an interesting interest from a number of local growers who are growing product locally that want to market it locally or even grow product organically, organic vegetables and organic
certified
product.
Organic
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So to do that, so again, you're buying local is another whole opportunity as a new market type that the local grower or consortium of growers can work with.
Our WSTU had a morning show guest, and apparently they have a little strip of land in Stewart, and that's what it is. It's an all organic garden, and they're just selling to people from that garden, and it's right near City Hall. Yeah, it's really amazing.
Now, Spike, again, some of these new, when you talk about the farm to table and the organic, I mean, these are also products that can increase one's margin.
Sure.
Right? I mean, it's a way to make better margins on your product.
If you're the local grower and you can go directly to the farmers market in downtown Stewart on the weekend, I mean, you've got all the margin that you're capturing as the local grower and increasing your profitability.
Well, didn't Stewart do that years ago with flowers? Remember, there used to be all these local on Canner Highway.
We sold a lot of tractors into that flower market down in Martin County. You're right.
Wow.
Forgotten about all the flowers, caladiums and
You bet. You bet. By the way, speaking of innovation, Spike, I was watching Bloomberg over the weekend, and there were some young farmers from Iowa who farm by drone now.
Okay.
And it's absolutely phenomenal. They not only map their land, but they can actually
measure,
do everything, with a drone. They can apply chemicals with it, do whatever they want to do with these drones. Now it's like, wow.
And even in the tail end of my career in the tractor business, we were already seeing it. Tractors were farming equipment was becoming very high tech and very computerized, and tractors would do all kinds of automated things, and literally we're probably going to get to the point where you don't even need a driver. I mean, you could probably program them in, and GPS could probably control a piece of equipment, and I'm sure that technology is out there now. So.
People are looking at driverless cars for the highway, so you can bet that a protected field is going to be an early pilot project for the driverless vehicles. So.
Yeah. And Spike, I really enjoyed your article. It was a great article, and I hope everybody gets a chance. What issue was it in? Was it in? Is the issue out now?
It's the most recent issue that just got out.
But in your article too, you had this great table. And it talked about the innovation categories. And go through those categories for us real quick. I really appreciated that because it wasn't just about ag. These are really categories that every business ought to go back to the drawing board and look at these categories. But take us through that real quick.
Let's just walk through them. Everybody would recognize a innovation from a technology. That's easy. All right, I can visualize that. I can use GPS to automate a tractor cab, and I can say, how can that be done with a driverless vehicle? I may not be happy with the prospect of it,
right,
but believe me, that technology is moving forward.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
All the major manufacturers of every mobile equipment are working with driverless vehicles. If nothing else, because they'll be safer.
Right.
All right. So you can easily envision a technology impetus for an innovation.
Right.
We don't think of innovation as much often as we do in terms of the processes that we work with. An innovation in a warehouse, an innovation in applying fertilizer for agriculture, or an innovation in a retail store, for the process of how I do it, can be just as powerful. All right? All right? That I can do that. Another one is market expansion. Going into a new market or a new market segment is an innovation. It's a change. It's a change in what we're doing.
Sure.
Just this morning, I noticed that Whole Foods has announced today in San Francisco a new format for their stores called Whole Foods 365, which is a lower priced, lower margin store, so that Whole Foods products can go into people that are more budget sensitive,
geared to the millennials.
Yeah. I mean,
who want the organic, but can't afford the.
They still want the organic food.
Right.
They still want to buy quality, but they don't want to pay the premium.
Right.
Still live with mom and dad.
Yeah. So that
right.
Whole Foods just attacked a new market.
That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Leave it to them. I mean, they're so progressive.
But a new market can be going to, if you're a grower, going to the Stewart Farmers Market if you haven't been there before, going to an additional farmers market 2 counties away if you haven't been there before.
Mm-hmm.
So I can innovate by market expansion just as much as I can through technology or process. I can innovate through market segments. If I've been selling, like we just talked about for Whole Foods, to mom and pop, the affluents, the baby boomers, and I want to have a more budget sensitive brand,
right.
I can open the 365 stores,
mm-hmm.
and I'm going to an entirely different market segment that will require probably different marketing approaches, different marketing products. The millenniums will look at their tablet or their smartphone
right.
as where to find the 65. And
right.
mom and pop are probably not going to go to the store unless they drive by us.
Sure.
Right. They have a flat tire in front of it. No, they're going to the same grocery store they always go to.
But each market segment is going to require a fresh look at what products, what prices, and how you promote it and how you support it. Every time you look at a different market segment, you're probably going to have to ask yourself the question, do I have a different channel of distribution that's going to be appropriate? The channel that I use to reach people in Canada will be an entirely different channel if I go the other direction, want to go to explore what the opportunities might be in a newly opened market in Cuba. So while in addition to the market, I have to think constantly about what are the channels of distribution that I have. And then 2 other areas of distribution that many people don't think of when they think about how can I innovate differently, what can I do for innovation, is what are the business terms? And people say, how does that consider innovation? If you look at how you offer your product to your customers, that's part of your terms package. All right?
That's interesting. Yeah, I've never thought about that.
When we all grew up as people that are baby boomers or in that generation, you used to think of the price of a car as being the price you paid the dealer when you traded the car in every 2, 3, 4, or 5 years. Now, if you look at the TV and the print advertising for the auto industry, you'll notice that it's not the price of the car that they're advertising anymore. It's an entirely different business package. The package is the lease. Because the lease I can offer you at the same and a much more affluent upscale car at a much more reduced monthly price.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't care that you never owned the car, that's a neat way to be able to drive a fancier car.
Right.
So my business terms package is a form of innovation. And the last one that we had on the table that Tom was talking about is the business model. Many people will look at it. And one of the things we talk about in our Profit Mastery program is really taking a good hard look at the business model that you're working with. And people look at me and say, what's my business model? And my answer is, that's how you make your money. All right? It's how you charge for the product. Do you get it all at the front end? Or do you spread things out over? Is there a recurring revenue? Is there a monthly service fee instead of the purchase price? Is there an aftercare service contract?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mm-hmm. Service contracts are now a big business.
Absolutely.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
You buy a lamp at a furniture store, they're going to offer you probably a furniture contract on that light switch in the
insurance?
lamp. Yeah, you want to buy, but that's huge. There's a huge revenue potential.
Yeah, you got that right.
So how you make your money in terms of either front end or recurring is an important piece of how you think about your business. And the next piece is, where do you go and when you want to innovate for your cost reduction? A cost reduction in terms of your production of operation is as an important a piece of it, way to increase the profit on your profitability there.
Right.
Now that checklist will work with any business.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say that's certainly not just ag.
And again, Spike, you did such a excellent job of taking what truly is a very complex, complicated, long drawn out process for a business to go back in and kind of reevaluate themselves. I mean, you've really broken it down into a very simple table, and really any business. I was really so impressed again with the table, because any business now, could stop and say, all right, how can we improve through technology? So let's think about all the ways we could improve through technology. And like you're saying, that could be as simple as a new computer system for the company that allows better tracking, better sales, better point of sales. Yep. How do we improve our process? And then list all the ideas of how we do better through processes, market expansion. Are there people out there? And I'm telling you, I can tell stories all day long about market expansion, because, when I first got in the tractor business in 1991, we were primarily a dealership that sold to the citrus industry. By the time we were out of the tractor business, we had reinvented ourselves 3 or 4 times with customers. I mean, It wasn't about citrus anymore. It became about the homeowner. Homeowners were buying smaller units and what we used to call ranchettes and sundowners. So market expansion, new segments. Again, so really, impressive chart, and it's a simple and easy way for a business to go through and say, are we really tapping into all these opportunities for us to be innovative and make more money? And I think what's so powerful about this is to be able to meet with a consultant like you, Spike, and you'd help me take my business through these segments. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah. What we would use is, we're not at SBDC, we're not industry experts in any industry, and don't pretend to be, and wouldn't want to do that. But what we can bring to the party is the framework that we can help the owner better understand their business, and through the better understanding of that framework, take that kind of an approach, and then create the plan, and then hopefully help them implement the plan.
Right.
And to do that, so that we've done that with Profit Mastery. We've extended that kind of thing, and we picked on the agricultural sector just because it's a good way to get outside the box. And somebody said, well, if you can do that for growing tomatoes or landscape things, you can certainly help me build better boats.
That's right. And again, with the consultants, like you said, you're not experts, but you certainly understand those business models, and you're able to meet with people. You're able to kind of drill down into their current financial situation model, and you're certainly able to help them at that point come up with some plans moving forward, recognize the weak spots, recognize the strengths of the business.
Yeah, and we want to do that, and then we want to help them both build the plan. And one of the things I also would like to do, want to do with the folks that I work with, is have a twofold effort. One is to develop a plan that thinks long term. But most people will look at that and say, but I'm so busy fighting today's battles, I don't have time to do that. So one of the tricks I try to do is to pick on a couple priorities that are fire drills that people are work with, that we can be executing to work on things that are immediately actionable as in parallel and in companion with the development of a long-term plan. And I think with that you also create some meaningful results for folks. So
yeah. Again, Spike, great article in the most recent edition of Progress and Innovation by our own Spike Shultise at the Small Business Development Center at Indian River State College. Innovation is important requirement for both agricultural and business organizations. No truer statement ever made in business, but it is about innovation. And you really have in this article given the local business community something to think about. And I can't imagine. I say it all the time. I can't imagine how powerful it would have been for a person like you to have reviewed what we were doing in our business, and to give the kind of experienced, seasoned expertise to our business. So you've given us a lot to think about, Spike, and we appreciate your service to the SBDC. And with that, I'm going to bring this segment of Startup Talk to a close. Thank you again, Spike, for coming out tonight.
Been a pleasure being here.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
And thanks for tuning into another segment of Startup Talk. I want to thank our guest tonight, Spike, and remind everyone that all the business assistance programs and resources discussed on this segment are available through the Indian River State College Dan K. Richardson Entrepreneurship Development Institute, engaged at every stage of enterprise. So for more information on the EDI, you can always go to that www.irscbiz.com site. That's IRSCBIZ.com. I want to thank Greg and our partners here at WPSL, WSTU, and WPSL TV. Thank our friends at Express Printing of Port St. Lucie, and Michelle Abaldo and her team at Indian River State College's Office of Institutional Advancement. And with that,
all right.
We'll
Spike, quick phone number. How do we get a hold of you at IRSC?
At IRSC,
it's 462-7630.
Cool. All right. All right. Well, you guys have a real good week, Spike. Don't be a stranger, okay?
all right.
You've been listening to IRSC Startup right here on WPSL, Port St. Lucie, WSTU, Stewart.